So the third quarter of 2019 turned out to be one for some mixed signals for risk assets, and it's possibly even a tad risk off. Here with a recap of third quarter is Bloomberg's Abigail Doolittle. Abigail?
Well, Alex, you're right about that. It certainly was an interesting quarter. And yes, perhaps shades of risk off. Let's take a look at why. First of all, starting off with the major equity indexes. What we're looking at here is a chart going back to the presidential election in 2016. And we see for the most part gains here. These are the quarterly moves for the major indexes, the Dow, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ. And then we're also throwing the Russell 2000 and the Dow Transport. So again, mainly gains until that brutal fourth quarter last year. But Alex, what I'd like to point out, the third quarter of this past year also mixed signals there. We're seeing that the NASDAQ was slightly lower. The first time we've seen that going back to last year, that brutal fourth quarter. Same thing for the Russell 2000, the Dow Transport. So that is perhaps risk off, the fact that you don't have those indexes higher. Supporting that idea is the fact that here we're looking at the third quarter in yellow gold and white Treasury bond futures, so that when they go higher, that actually tells you bonds are going higher. In blue, the S&P 500 E-mini futures, right around the time of that Fed meeting. Take a look at this. Gold taking off, bonds taking off, stocks going lower. At the end of the day, we had both gold and Treasuries, those haven assets, outperforming stocks. Again, a tad risk off. And then finally bringing another risk asset into it, really your wheelhouse here, Alex. Take a look at oil going back to 2008. Over this time period, these are the quarterly moves, down 44%. What I'd like to point out, the second and the third quarter, both down, two down quarters in a row, shedding about 10% over that time period. Over the last 12 months, down about 27%. This could, again, suggest the third quarter overall did have that tad risk off tone that you were talking about, Alex.